Danes imamo priložnost v živo videti samo kolega iz Ljubljana, v Gracu, Sandro Grošer, in on vam bo predstavil, kako on to vidi. Oni tudi izdajajo kompilacije videa, različne teme in tudi publikacije, knjige, delajo razstave v bistvu z novimi mediji in vsem pomembno organizacijo v Gracu, kar se tega tiče. Po njegovem, on bo vsak video v bistvu potem še predstavil, tako da malo dajem kontekst. Po njem bomo pa mi gledali Stanje Polič Mladenov iz Noge Sada, ki ni mogla žal priti, ampak je to snima, ker je tudi eksperimentalno mogoče malo video predavanje, kjer ona razlaga, kako ona razume ta eksperimentalno prakso in tudi se prikazuje nekaj zemljonci, tako je nekolice traja.
Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Sandro. I'm very happy to be around in this beautiful city, and it's really great that scca is doing since years, and I'm very proud to be here. Thank you for the invitation first. So, sorry for switching in English. I'm not talking Slovenian, but I'll try hard to give a short lecture about what we are doing, and later on we have the chance to watch some videos about experimental stuff in media art in Austria and whatnot. So, since 2000, the Graz-based association Kunstverein Medienturm continuously presents exhibitions, screenings, and theoretical discussions, which are also edited in publications. The name Medienturm refers to an old water tower changed to the media tower, which was the former base of the arts institution. Nowadays we are located in an exhibition space close to the center of the town Graz. In the field where media art and fine art experience crossover moments, material and context references of new media face old media in a productive way. This interdisciplinary approach is basis for a preferred development of cross-media projects, which advance current questions in the field of art production and theoretical reflection. Since 2004, some videos per year are published as limited artists' experimental editions, contributions in the frame of the so-called edition Medienturm. Around 30 experimental Austrian and international artist videos which discuss the dynamic and manifold relation of image and sound in the field of contemporary and media art are on our backlist. A discussed abstract understanding of the image can be read in most of the selected works. A rather post-minimalist visualization meets reduced sound in order to concentrate the complex synesthetic audio visuals. The edition Medienturm intends to transport contemporary video art towards a potentially new modified topic. Now I'm going to show you 7 examples of the edition, which focus on contributions of local student artists or artists connected to Graz, like artists in residence. The program takes around an hour. Between the movies, I explain briefly the works. So, right now, we start with the work of Carol Boyd. She's an artist from Berlin, which we once invited to Graz for a residency. And I guess maybe I'll tell you some words about the piece first. Carol Boyd originally comes from painting. Today, however, she mainly works with digital photography and animated film. Her cinematic works are always influenced by a very individual aesthetics. which he paraphrases with the term photofilm. Starting point are singular photographs. Film shootings in the literal sense do not exist. Her pointed selection of objects like flowers, tactical aircrafts, etc., respectively alludes to a challenging of the common perception, which is avoided sustainably by an abstract progressive process. She starts out from an analysis of color intensities, of which the high contrast density through the long-term cooperation with the sound arts regime unfolds an additional quality to the interaction of image and sound level. So now we're gonna move to the video itself. GSIL866 is basis for a site-specific media installation in the frame of scca-ljubljana, Festival of Contemporary Art, being displayed generatively on the facade at the Kunsthaus Graz. Video is done by Dariusz Kowalski and Stefan Nemmel. It's called Gas Updated Revisited. Dariusz Kowalski is born in Krakau, Nowa Huta, and is living in Vienna. Dariusz analyzes transformation processes that are shown and questioned by loops, breaks, and overlaps. Starting point of the work Gas Updated Revisited are around 12,000 webcam recordings of streets that are placed on the internet by the Finnish road administration in regular intervals, motivated by reasons of weather observation. Motor highways and motorways are the dispositive of today's mobility that brings along a specific idea of space. They are transit spaces without a historical or geographic reference point and function rather as a spatial in-between amongst those two places. The transit space, the blind spot of transit, comes to the center of attention. The formal and categorical discussion of the image of street networks in the landscape makes the banal and fleeting subject of the work.
Excuse me, Sandra, I have a question about the previous video.
Yeah.
Do you perhaps know which program was used for generating?
I don't know, I'm really sorry, but most, for example, Leah is a programmer by her own, and she's using scripts and patches, part of them doing by her own. So, but I'm not.
Does she usually take a module and then manipulates it and multiplies it, or is that just this video? Or is that like her entire work is more, I don't know, on the basis of one object like we saw in this video?
I would say she's using different figures and types, which is in a way remixing and editing anew. But I wouldn't say that she uses these elements all the time. So, as I know, as far as I know, she always goes back to the starting point, and it differs between the projects themselves.
So actually what we saw were two brackets or something, like you know, like a part of like typing character or something. Ah, that's interesting. Okay. I'm sorry for intervention.
Leah, for example, got invited for a scca-ljubljana in Frankfurt, so a similar piece. But most of the time she's sitting back home and is programming for jobs. You know, so she's one of these artists which are somehow, I would say, in the art scene, but not really professional. I would say.
Thank you.
So now we move to Daria Kowalski and Stefan Hammond. Is filmed from the inside and outside by two webcams. The images are transferred to the internet. The computer to phone gets images of its own deconstruction from a website and shows these while still being functional via projection of the audience. This is the testing arrangement of the architect Thomas Kinsel, which the artist group Graham reinterprets by analogy with the new interpretation of the Rudolf Schwarzbrugger action, musical comedy for television, color television. Rudolf Schwarzbrugger is maybe known by the so-called Viennese group who were active during their 60s in fighting against power and the art system itself. Maybe reference to the West Coast group where people were also linked to, let's say, McCarthy or something like this. So Rudolf Schwarzbrugger was a reference for the piece, and Graham links the destruction of a computer through a PU phone to videos, showing beginnings of hostages through Islamist religious warriors, published via the internet. A triangle between committer, victim and consumer audience evolves. The action also happens in the virtual public space. A man-machine production is Luke. That's how modern terror functions. The title of the action, Alhamdulillah, stems from the Persian and means thank God. So the next work is by Norbert Hafenbichler and Roger Schneider. Norbert Hafenbichler is an artist from Austria living in Vienna. Roger Schneider is also a student artist living in Vienna. And the sound is done by Bernhard Lang. Bernhard Lang is a quite well-known composer from Graz living in Vienna. The piece is called A1, B2, C3. The work A1, B2, C3 by Hafenbichler Schreiber is based on the concept of creating a video using a minimum of parameters. A regular white grid on blue ground structures the screen. It moves at 4 different rates orthogonally to the left, to the right, up and down. All parameters of the audiovisual composition are based on the data of the display formats of digital video. 720 plus 576 pixels. This data, or its multiple or dividers, defines speed and length of the animation. The soundtrack, composed by Bernhard Lang, follows the same logic. The frequencies of a synthetically generated square sound are modulated on the basis of this data. So now we come to the last work. It's done by again an artist from Graz, living in Vienna, like most of our artists. It's called UFO, and it's a loop of 40 seconds. And after a while, I will talk therefore about some other stuff. The video UFO shows a white cube, which is lighted up by bright neon light, wherein an almost ceiling high black ball rolls, which is set in motion by a threateningly staggering flow. A real voice of an American policeman, sometimes in the 50s, can be heard, who, while sitting in his car, catches sight of an UFO, and thereafter describes the alien object in the sky via voice radio to the control center. The big black ball seems to be exactly the object which the policeman is currently watching, whereas the unidentified flying object already has invaded the space. The alien evil is thus among us by now. In this sense, the motion of the space can be read as the attempt to expel the ball through one of the open doors in order to preserve order again. In our current exhibition space, the first space of our exhibition it's located close to the center of Graz, and we've been there for 8 years. And but thing is, Graz gets a new institution of contemporary art called Künstlerhaus, Artist Space. It's a house for art and its media, and it's located in an old building from 1953, a modern building, a temple of modernity built up of the ruins of the Second World War, I would say so. And in 2013, we will bring the institution of Kunstverein, which we directed for around 12 years right now. So a quite nice and prominent location, broadening the programmatic approach and totally reframing the history charged Kunsthaus Graz. Along the lines of an US-American Artist Institute, Kunsthaus follows a unique approach in Austria. As a space for production and reception, predominantly young, experimental new art is presented and accompanied by a theoretical framework. In the sense of a real contemporary art, possible artistic positions in the fields of fine arts and its medial variant forms are explored, promoting a national and international interaction. On 2 levels, with around 600 square meters exhibition space, multi-faceted formats are being conceived. The first show opens on March 6th next year. It's called Chat, Painting Beyond its Medium. And it's a show somehow exemplary for the orientation of the program at this new institution. The presented works open up a discourse around an idea of painting, which is context-related and at the same time deals with the question of its own reality. I would be very happy to welcome you once in Kunsthaus Graz, and like to thank you for your attention, and again thank you for the invitation. Have a nice evening.
Also because it is very obvious that it was done from a very particular, very precise aesthetic decision, because the works can be compared or may be compared by the visual effect, not just by the tools and the mediums that they use in order to produce them. So I'd really like to see or to hear your view on that, or is it like, would you say that what you have presented is generally what you perceive as experimental in a broader sense, and how do you see this aesthetic choice of yours with this edition?
I mean, one basic reason why we started this video edition has been a big show. It's called Abstraction Now, and it was a show where we invite 73 international and national artists dealing with the term abstraction. The show happened in 2003, and at that time, abstraction was somehow a no-go. I would say, nowadays, again, this is again a strong field of explanations and experiments, and it has been one of the main topics of modernity since 2010 or something like that. So for us it was really interesting to watch closely to this history of modernity and abstraction, and to let interfere different techniques of media. So we had indoor painting, video, installation, performance, etc. And these kind of references were mainly one of the issues to start producing video art in this field. And the second very special thing about the edition is that we invited video artists together with sound artists to produce a work. So I would say it's a video, but at the same time, some of them are also kind of an installation, and it's an open discussion between sound and the image somehow, in this kind of abstract field. And as you realize in the end, this kind of abstract context somehow widened up, because I would say this piece by Klaus Schuster, the UFO, is primarily a conceptual piece, which is another strong field of interest in this edition. So, how I say, yes, it is experimental, but for me, every interesting art is experimental, to be honest, And I would say it's obviously experimental, because these people use different approaches of media and